I want to talk today about the Mega Backdoor Roth option. This is different than what I would call the backdoor Roth option that we've been talking about for decades for people who exceed the income limit to be able to fund a Roth IRA by actually funding a non-deductible IRA and immediately converting it to Roth. That's different. What I want to talk about in this particular video is the Mega Backdoor Roth that is available through employer-sponsored plans. Now, remember, you've got to talk to your tax person to make sure this is right for you. You want to talk to your financial planning professional to make sure that this fits into your plan. You want to make sure that you've got the cash flow in order to pull this off. The first step that you're going to do is actually find out if this isn't even an option for you by talking to your HR person or whoever manages your employer-sponsored plan at work. And by employer-sponsored plan at work, I mean your 403B, your 401k, maybe you're simple. But really, I'm talking about your 401k, your 403B. That's where I see these the most. So what the Mega Backdoor Roth option allows you to do is to put a big chunk of money into a Roth environment. And by that, I mean money that goes in after tax, grows tax deferred. And when you pull it out after 59 and a half, you get to access not only the contributions, but the growth income tax free. It's a huge benefit if you can get money into a tax free environment. It just provides you so many more options when you're trying to pull down assets in retirement to make your life work. So most of you understand that you can put money into a 401k or a 403b in a pre-tax way. In other words, the deductions come right out of your paycheck from gross income. They go right into your 401k, 403b, and they grow tax deferred until you pull them out in retirement. And when you pull that money out, it is going to be taxed as if you earned it. But by making those contributions, you're getting a tax deduction in this current year. That's why most people do it. You still have the option to do that at your employer. So if you have a 401k, 403b, you can put money into the pre-tax traditional version of the 401k, 403b, get that tax deduction. In 2025, that limit for individuals is $23,500 for all of those people that are below 50 years old. If you are over 50, you actually are able to put in additional money such that you can put $31,000 into your pre-tax account. If you are 60, 61, 62, or 63, you have the ability to put in $34,750 in 2025 into your pre-tax contribution account. So you can get a whole bunch of money into your pre-tax account and take that as a tax deduction. If your plan allows it, you can then add additional money to your 401k or 403b plan or whatever the employer-sponsored plan is at work. Again, if the plan documents allow it. And what that money does is either goes into the Roth version or it goes into an excess contribution into the pre-tax version. And then you can immediately convert that into a Roth environment called an in-plan conversion. If you do that, you have the capacity in 2025 as a person under the age of 50 to put in $70,000 total between pre-tax and after-tax contributions. If you are over 50, you have the ability to put in $77,500. And if you are over the age of 60 to 63, so 60, 61, 62, 63, you can put $81,250 total pre-tax and then after tax into your employer-sponsored account. So it allows you to get a huge chunk of money into your retirement account so that it can grow and you have that money available when you actually do decide to quit working for a paycheck. Now, there's all kinds of things that you've got to think about. Number one, can you afford to do it, right? There's a whole cash flow conversation that has to happen. Number two, you got to find out if your plan documents even allow it, because if it isn't allowed at your employer-sponsored plan, this whole conversation is moot. And then you want to make sure that you're following the rules in order to make all of this happen. You should also note that your plan documents are probably going to have some provision for an employee match, and you're going to want to know what that is. Can they match into the pre-tax? Do they have to match into the pre-tax? Can they match into the Roth? Just really depends on what those plan documents say and whether or not they have been updated as the laws have changed. This is a great way to get a whole bunch of money into a retirement account so that it's tax deferred until you quit working, you're over 59 and a half, and you want to now pull that money out. So here are the step-by-step instructions. Number one, you want to talk to your HR department and find out if the plan documents allow for this Mega Backdoor Roth option. And you can actually use that language. Most of them are these days. And so you can just ask them. You then want to understand what is the actual logistical way to make this happen. Do I pull money from my paycheck that goes into the pre-tax account? Do I pull money also from my paycheck to put into the Roth version if there is one? How do I get excess contributions into my 401k? And then how do I do an in-plan conversion? The third step is that you want to make sure that you've actually got the cash flow to do this, because you're going to have less money in your pocket. When you put in money pre-tax, it's coming from your gross income. When you're putting money and after tax, you've got to pay taxes on that money. So it's not just the $70,000 that you're going to put in there that this will cost. It's going to be the $70,000 plus the taxes that you've got to pay in order to make this contribution. So just be mindful about that. And then, of course, you want to talk to your tax preparer and your financial planner to make sure that this is actually what I would call the highest and best use of your money. I mean, it sounds really great, but it might not actually make a whole lot of sense in the context of your life and your circumstances. So just to review, number one, you need to find out whether or not you even have the option to do this. Then you want to, number two, find out what the logistics are. Number three, you want to make sure it's going to work for your cash flow. And number four, you want to make sure it's going to work for your tax and financial planning situation. The reason that I'm bringing this up at this particular time of the year is that if you can plan for this at the beginning of the year and make those adjustments to your paycheck, then you can be doing this all the way throughout the year. And frankly, for my really high income earners, I have them front load this as much as possible if they can afford it in their cash flow, because that way, if they change jobs and they go to a job that doesn't provide this particular benefit, they have taken advantage of as much of this as possible while they were in this particular job. That also goes for whether or not they actually get laid off, because if you get laid off and don't have access to this benefit, at least you've taken advantage of it at the beginning of the year. So that's why I have people start thinking about this early in the year and start implementing this early in the year. And now that we're into February, this is a pretty good time to be doing those kinds of things. If you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out. I'm Jessica Lanning. Lanning Does Planning.